Hogan was on Joe Rogan yesterday.
Hogan on Rogan. Sorry.
And is Hogan on this big media kick now? Is it all about this CBD
Yeah,
deal?
he's pushing his weed and what else? His CBD and I think there's something else. Mushrooms. There you go.
And I was told that no, I don't know if Hogan has it in his right. I got to think that Joe Rogan probably never has to not talk about something. Like there are some guests that have like, hey, don't ask me about this. And then because they're such a huge guest that you have to kind of go along with it.
We combed through about
But I think
an hour.
Joe Rogan is such a he's the biggest entity that nobody can tell him that he has to stay away from a particular topic.
Well, I think Joe Rogan, and I don't know him obviously, but I think he's like a nice guy and he wants guests to feel comfortable on his show. So I'm sure Hogan was like, hey, could you not mention the sex tape? Whatever, because we combed through about an hour and a half of it last night, and I didn't hear anything.
No, I heard. I've had a couple people listen to the entire thing, and there was nothing. Yeah. Not even a smidgen.
No, the closest they got to it was when he alluded to having a quote controversial past. That was the closest that he touched it.
Well, I got to give it to Stallone. He took all the hits and all the bumps, and
again, I listen to these.
Kind of boring.
I listen.
Honestly.
Oh, it's very boring. But Lummi, I hear all these Hogan interviews, and they're stories that we heard 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Every one of them.
Yes.
He was an animal.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the great Terry Funk died.
Yeah, he did.
79.
79 years old. I think he had ties to Ocala. I think his wrestling school or one of the Funk brothers has ties to the Ocala area. Terry Funk was legendary, and we actually, Hogan, have a couple shorts on our YouTube channel of Hogan talking about Terry Funk. And we've released those, but we're going to re-release kind of a Terry, R.I.P.
Really one of the first hardcore wrestlers that there were.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet him, Bubba?
Oh, yeah. Of course. Yes. Very many a time.
Tall?
Yeah.
Really big.
But he was kind of like a white trash badass. Like he wasn't, as jacked up as Goldberg or, or as tall and
more scrappy.
He was just like a white trash.
From Hamden, Indiana.
Junkyard dog. From Hammond, Indiana. Hammond, Indiana. That's not too far from me.
He went to West Texas State University.
messed his collarbone up, by accident. But, it was...
What's John 3:16?
He was amazing. I remember...
I don't know. He's, his...
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever
I forgot we have a biblical scholar.
Austin 3:16 says...
I just whooped your
He
ass.
should have had Austin 3:16 on there.
Hogan 3:16.
He should have.
Wait, did you know that by heart?
Prayers, weed, and mushrooms.
And
hold
on, and your best friend's wife, Hogan 3:16. Weed, lawsuits, and Heather.
So I'm going to hell.
Easy.
Oh, easy, brother.
Easy, brother.
Lummi, I wonder if, I think we were told last time to not try to get a hold of him, right?
Yes.
Be like, Hogan, come on, let's bury the hatchet.
Have the biggest podcast ever.
And
I heard you're on podcast tour. I got a podcast.
Yeah, you're doing podcasts in like hotel rooms. Well, with Theo Von, like with some big names. You're certainly getting booked on the biggest of names.
Yeah, Nelk and Rogan.
Don't forget where you start. My Lord, that's even a further slap in my face in the fact that I'm the one that gave him kind of his radio chops, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
He got his radio I can distribute things through the radio through me. My show is just a constant infomercial for him.
And it's not like he's out there slinging Bibles. He's selling weed and mushrooms.
Yeah.
But he's wearing a cross, Brian.
Let's be real here.
Yeah, you're right. He's selling weed and mushrooms.
Which I'm fine with. I understand.
I have no problem with it either.
Medicinal and therapeutic value. I'm not questioning any of that. I'm just saying it's not like you and him doing a podcast is going to slow his sales. If anything, that's going to put it over the top. Take it to the next level. Next big thing.
I just don't know if he'll ever. I just don't know if he'll ever forgive me.
That was funny. I think he forgives you. I think he just knows he can't talk to you because of what it would look like.
But then they could have like a secret conversation or meet up, But that's
I
not
think
even
that's risky. That's risky. Especially if Bubba. Never mind.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, that.
That's what you meant.
Bubba would
I wonder if
tape it.
I did this. This did come to my mind yesterday. I wonder because Hogan's all about not ribs, but he's all about Hogan's a lot smarter and
He's a worker.
and
He's a worker.
He is. He's one hell of a worker. I wonder if in his will he will leave me, some money.
What the hell? What goes on in your mind at night?
No, hold on, because
As you're curling up.
I
hold
do
on.
want whatever drugs you're on
Just-
at night.
Hold on, because man, he really
As you're holding your butt pillow,
Hold
going,
on.
you know
Hold on.
what?
I think he's
wanna.
ignoring me all this time because the payoff's going to come for
He's
me when
my
he's
best friend.
dead. And he'll write me a really long letter.
Okay, we better stop now. He's getting mad.
No. Here's my reasoning. Is that I did the right thing by him. And I can't really get
Because
into
you
it.
made him rich.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal.
Indirectly.
Brian, you know this in and out. Had I shown up to court and not craftily played the position that I played, where I didn't have to go and all of my answers were going to be the fifth, I was, and I think, and take off your Brian counter program and being a dick cap and put on your real live lawyer, know a lot about this particular situation cap, and know that if I would have shown up to court there and they were trying to get me in a trick bag and I was the big got you moment for Gawker. Gawker was going to use me to win the case. In fact, Nick Ditton, after the verdict, his whole big thing when he went on Good Morning America and any show that would have him on is that we're going to appeal because we were not allowed to even ask the star witness. The guy that taped it was not, they allowed to not come and testify. And so if I was full of myself and wanted to get on camera and wanted to tell my side of the story, but I sat there and took it, didn't I? I took it. I took it. No, but I did. I mean, seriously. I mean, Brian, I know you'll agree. I took it. I took it on the chin. I pled the fifth, which means they couldn't catch me in a trick bag, right?
Right.
Because they were trying to catch me in a trick bag. You know that.
I know the way they work.
But you know
No,
they're
I
also
do.
their position.
Yep.
And Gawker was going to say, Mr. Clem, this, and this, and you said this, and this, and this, and this during your depots, and this, and this to the FBI. So what's and boom, they were going to try to trip me up, and my counsel said, we're not offering Mr. Clem. Mr. Clem will assert his Fifth Amendment right to every question other than his name and vital information. And the judge did not make me even have to appear. They just put on record that all of my answers would be the fifth. That won Hogan's case.
It certainly helped.
If I had not danced correctly, and I'm just telling you, right? I don't think I can get in trouble for saying this, Brian. I think the statute of limitations has far ran out, but I did a job for Hogan. And Hogan knows it. Hogan knows that I did a job for him. If I go and testify, the way Gawker was going to question me, if I answered those questions honestly, Hogan doesn't win that case. Brian, your expertise on that statement and what I just said.
I think it would have been a lot different outcome. I can't say with definitive certainty that he does not still prevail, because that was trials are crazy, and that could have changed it dramatically, but it definitely would have been more difficult.
Had I gone there and Gawker was all lathered up with all these questions for me.
The problem for Gawker was that Deloria was the worst witness in the history of bad witnesses, and he came across, I don't know that there's any amount of evidence that would have helped them overcome how awful he was on the stand.
When he recited that it would be okay to show sex with somebody, and the cutoff date that he thought that maybe it should be was 4 years old.
Yeah.
At that point they should have just gone and gathered all their stuff up and said, "Tell us how much we need to write you."
Yeah, because and that's why I understand what you're saying, Bubba. But you told me to put my real lawyer hat on here, and I've never in my life seen a witness come across more smug, arrogant, unlikable, maybe ever than Delorio did in that trial.
But I did a job clean in them. I didn't testify to try to better my image. I didn't testify to try to get some truths that make me look stupid out. I just said I ain't testifying. That way you can't use it against me, and that way it helps Hogan. I did a job clean in the middle. So as much as you people laugh,
well, we're laughing still about the idea.
Hold on, but when
Hogan
he's
would give you
dead,
money.
when he's dead, and he doesn't care what people think because he's dead. And in his will, there's a secret little subsection where I get $1 million. You think that I'm completely, absolutely on the Balea mushrooms that he's slinging?
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I on the Balea mushrooms?
As not an attorney
by thinking that?
and a rational thinking person,
I'm
yes.
going to say this right now. I have a better chance of Hogan leaving me $1 million than you do. And he doesn't even know me.
That's what's so sad.
Is that you're not going to get money after he's dead?
No. Is that I, as much as I got him into the case, I want it for him. I absolutely lock, stock, and barrel. I want it for him. Read my depositions, and then realize that I was not going to testify because had they put me on the stand, they were going to make me look stupid and put me in a trick bag and brought doubt to this whole scenario that they were fighting. And their defense would be more believable had I testified. I mean, let me Google Nick Denton, Good Morning America, day after verdict, if we can find that. And he was flipping out. Nick Denton was like, of course we're going to appeal this. The star witness, Bubba the Love Sponge, was not made to testify.
Look, I love you, Bubba, and I agree with you to an extent. I don't ever see at this point.
No, I'm not getting any money. I'm not getting any money.
I mean, it's a great thought.
I might get a free bus from American Eagle, but I ain't getting no money from Terry Bollea.
If anything, as sad as it is to say, there's more likely to be a clause that you're not allowed near his funeral than it would be the other way
Brian,
around.
you'd have to add that in.
I'm just
real.
Yeah, Brian.
Brian.
He told me to put my lawyer hat on and be realistic.
Yeah, but not go on like that unnecessarily.
I wouldn't go to his funeral unless I had made.
Unless you put me in as well.
I think he should absolutely make amends with you. I don't think there's any reason for him to hold a grudge at this point, and it's probably healthier for everybody involved for that axe to be buried and that hatchet to be buried, and you guys move on with your lives and try.
But can we be friends?
I mean, I think it's possible.
Probably not publicly.
I mean, I don't think you would ever get back to where you were, but
do you really want to, Bubba?
Absolutely.
No, I don't.
He does. Deep down, he does.
No,
I know
Clearly,
that,
we wouldn't be talking
I
about
know
this.
that.
Still.
I do not want. Listen, he's busy with his new wife, and I mean, yeah. I mean, it would be.
Yeah, but he would trade them all to get back to where he was with.
No,
Terry.
I wouldn't.
He would sell Dan out in a heartbeat.
Listen.
If
I'm just trying to help him.
If Hogan said, "Look, brother, I can hang out with you, but that Dr. Dan douche has got to go," Bubba would be like, "So
Dan,
Hogan would
no.
look better because of Botox.
Hogan would say, "Listen, brother, you still got to hook up with this."
Yeah, actually,
I go, yeah. Hey, Terry, you want? I'm glad we're hanging out
no,
together.
you're right. I forgot about that.
I'm glad we're hanging out, buddy. Yeah, I know, me too, brother. But hey, listen, you still got that hook up on the Bizzo Tiz Ox with the Yizocko? Yeah, I do. All right, brother. Tuesday noon, maybe you and I over there getting some chizots in the floor his head? Sure. Hey, can you promote Brookie.com, VH1.com? She's got a new single out right now.
Call VH1.com and vote.
You know, that seemed like a good idea at the time.
Shut up!
More of the Bubba the Love Sponge Show after these words.
I've got an idea.
Time to man up.
I gotta poop so bad.
Man up and be brutally honest.
And you're calling me crazy?
Or I'm gonna kill you. We now return to the Bubba the Love Sponge Show.
Thursday, August 24. We'll do an after show today. It'll be me, Brian, Rhett, and Lummy. It'll be sports based, or or Anna will literally turn Gus around.
I will, and I'll come back in and start talking about whatever you're talking about.
Now, if your mic's turned off,
She'll just cackle in that.
not if we turn the gate off. you know we can turn the gate off. Did you know that?
I'll hop over it.
You will not. You can't.
But then you'll shoot me.
She could hop over the gate, but then you're gonna go all Dallas, Texas apartment guy
Get
on
off
her.
my lawn!
Don't think the merch crick isn't there on the widow's. She's
Oh,
right
she'll
there on
shoot me.
She's right there on the corner.
Hey,
She's in
Command, she'll
constant
shoot me.
snipe mode.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
sniping from
She
office.
literally she'll Lee Harvey Oswald you from the second floor of the book depository.
If you see the merch crick, you're already dead.
Yeah.
She's like Chuck Norris.
She's in a ghillie suit outside waiting for that
Ghillie
gate.
suit on the concrete.
Yeah.
On the
So
asphalt.
I'm telling you right now, Lummy. I mean, Brian may not agree because he doesn't agree with anything I say, but this is absolutely. I did a job clean in the middle. Just listen to how they report this. Just listen. And Brian, maybe just maybe try to be open-minded.
Yeah, for once.
Instead of just being a complete dick. Because that just wears thin on me after a while. Because when I know, I see, like, you're my friend.
But I can't
Deep down,
have a
you got
differing opinion.
No, you can. But I
Okay,
know that
but-
you're.
but
I know
really
that
you
you're
can't.
you can but you're differing. Like, there's only one way to score this, and you and I have talked about this privately. You know, I did a job clean in the middle.
I said you did a job clean in the middle. What I will not just blindly agree with is that whether or not you had testified would have made an ultimate change in the outcome.
I do.
Only because of how poorly Delorio did.
All right, here we go.
Than an ordinary person leading a quiet life.
We're gonna play this.
Denton says he's confident the judgment will be thrown out on appeal, in part because of the evidence that was not allowed into the trial.
You have said that the jurors didn't get to hear key evidence.
And I think the jury had a right to hear from Bubba Clem, to hear how much Hulk Hogan knew about this whole arrangement.
Clem told the FBI that Hogan knew he was being recorded, though he later recanted, and he did not testify at trial.
So let me just explain that.
Yeah.
And Brian will certainly be able to dance with me on how big of dicks the FBI is.
Yes.
Okay.
And how unfair and just downright corrupt they are.
They are. I find them to be underhanded in their methods.
I find them offensive. So when this tape comes out, we at this point, Stephen Diaco and me and a couple others, we're starting to get really, really screwed with by some trolls, some Twitter trolls and things like that. And so and there was a dead cat that was cut in half and put in Stephen's.
What?
Yeah, there was a dead cat that was cut in half and put on
heard about the dead pussy.
Well, I'm telling you about it. If you shut your hole up for a second.
Sorry.
Steve was getting harassed. There was dead cats put in his doorstep. And so we called the FBI. We called the FBI to say, hey, look, man, there's these troll accounts on Twitter that are just absolutely going crazy, trying to, mess with me and threatening me, threatening Steve, threatening everybody that's associated with me, because you got to understand that the people, again, I'm not going to try to get too far down this rabbit hole, Anna, but even you didn't know this, so that means the average person doesn't know. You know the Hogan tape and who did it ad nauseum, but you didn't know this twist. This all started with, so anytime we ever got any traction anywhere, the Cox trolls the well-organized trolls came out, and they would just absolutely kill us. So we called the FBI. What the final straw was when there was a dead cat at Stephen Diaco's personal home.
Oh.
So we call the FBI and we go to this lawyer. I'm not going to mention his name because I really don't think he did that good of a job. Although he kept me from having to appear on. But anyway. And so we call the FBI, and these two FBI agents come down here, come to this attorney's office, and it's me, Tom Bean, our attorney,
An update.
a son update, which I like, makes me think of Anna.
Thank you.
I think Jay and Steve Diaco, and these two FBI agents. And these two FBI agents were like, "Hey, FBI agents, Jim and Fred, we got this account here," and I had all printed out. They're threatening and doxing my home address and talking about where my kid goes to school. And Steve, here's a picture of a dead cat on Steve's door. And these people are going can you help us here? And they're like, they write all the information down and they're telling us what we want to hear. And then they turn to me. We're getting ready. I think we're done. I think we're done. It's like 35, 40 minutes of us laying out all these troll accounts and stuff. And I think we're done. And one of the FBI guys goes to me. Now, this is literally like 3 or 4 days after this Hogan tape is dropped. After Calta has already gotten it to Gawker. Because it's like October. Our timing couldn't be any worse.
Okay.
And so one of the FBI guys turns to me and says, "Hey, how about that Hogan sex tape?" And I go, "Oh my God, what a absolute nightmare." He goes, "Yeah, God, wow, that's pretty. It seems like it's really a controversial thing." I said, "Oh, it's bad. It's really bad. It's horrible for me. Cox is already threatening to fire me over it. Like I look like a real dumbass, and it didn't even go down that way. Like at that point on, and even for the majority of people, I'm the person. I'm public enemy number one on that deal. Most people don't know, and I'm not gonna get into that. Everybody knows what happened. But so the FBI goes, they're one of the two. And they're taking these notes, and he's like, "So, man, was Hogan your roommate at that time, or like what?" And I go, "Yeah, he was staying with me on and off, for about 3 months." And he goes, "Well, this is what the guy says. He goes, now listen, I'm not Mirandized. I'm not. There's no stenographer in there taking, notes, or what is that called, Brian? When you're
like a court reporter.
Court reporter. There's no court reporter in there. It's a very impromptu, casual, yeah. And we are the plaintiffs. We're the ones that are telling on these trolls.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not taking notes, or I'm not being questioned, or there's nobody recording this or not. Nobody's recording this. This is kind of crosstalk. This is kind of as we're all gathering our papers.
Boys.
Yeah, this is kind of like, Brian, like that 10 minutes as you're gathering your briefcase and you're gathering your stuff and you're chit-chatting. You're like, "So, Jim, I'm just doing good. Me and my wife are going out of town this weekend. Have you been to the new Union? Man, places get gas." So they're asking me these questions. They're like, "So, Hogan, he stayed with you, right?" And I go, Yeah, he lived with me." He goes, "Well, don't you think he knew about the surveillance system he had in there? I mean, you would think he would know." And this is my exact answer. I go, I think he knew about my surveillance system. I do, but I don't know necessarily that he knew, about the bedroom deal. So I don't know what he really knew. That's what I said. That's what I said. I said, I think he knew about my home surveillance system, but I don't know if he knew about the bedroom deal. I don't know what he really knew. That is, those FBI agents went back to the FBI agency, and this is called pencil whipping, and they pencil whipped a report that I had told them that he definitely knew he was being taped, and he definitely knew that there was cameras in there, and he definitely knew everything. So I didn't know that they did that. And as these court proceedings are going on, Gawker's looking at this FBI report. Like, Brian, I'm not looking at this FBI report because I'm not involved in the case. So right. I'm not scouring through FBI reports and things like that. Well, it gets to be deposition time. And, after, sitting down with my counsel, And after figuring out how this all went down, I determined that Hogan did not know that I had surveillance in my bedroom, and so during my depositions they tried to trip me up like literally 15 times. So you say that Hogan didn't know that you had videotapes? Yeah, I'm saying he didn't know. Are you positive? Yes. Now, so you're saying like without a doubt he did? Yeah. And I keep doubling down on it, Brian, because I'm staying consistent. You know what I'm saying? I'm staying consistent. He didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't know, because it was my belief that he didn't know. After I went back and looked and just analyzed everything and things like that. Plus, I'm just going to be honest with you. I knew what was best for Terry. If I didn't know,
that didn't influence how you testified. Though you testified truthfully and honestly.
I did. I testified truthfully. I testified truthfully and honestly. But in the back of my mind, I also know what's best for Terry, and that happens to coincide with the truth. So I doubled down on it.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I know what's best for Terry. It's the way I'm testifying. It's the truth. And I'm not going to trip. You're not going to trip me up. They gave me 15 opportunities for me to say, well, maybe he did know. They asked me 15 different times, are you sure he didn't know? Are you sure he didn't know? And they would ask it 15 different ways. And so, that's right, don't chit-chat with the FBI. In fact, if the FBI ever wants to question you, say no. Lawyer, and get out your cell phone and start recording them, because that's like FBI repellent. It really is. It really is. And so it gets back to me after the depositions, Brian, and as they're getting ready for trial, it gets leaked. It didn't get leaked, but they're, the opposing counsel, it just, for whatever reason, it gets out that, hey, they're going to try to get Bubba on a Martha Stewart deal, lying to the feds. And I'm like, what? I never lied to them. I never even talked to the feds. I never had a formal talk with the feds. And they're like, oh, yeah, you did. On October 15th, you had a meeting with Officer 1 and Officer 2 with Steve Diaco complaining about these trolls that have been harassing you. And you had a 45-minute at Mr. McGuire's office. And at that time, you testified or told the FBI agents that Hogan absolutely knew about the tapes. Now, in your depositions, 15, 18, 22 different times, you swore, as you were sworn at that time, that he did not know about the tapes. So, Anna, they were going to march me in there, Gawker was, and they're going to say, Mr. Clem, yeah? Is it not true that you sat down with 2 FBI agents? Yeah. Is it not true that you said that Hogan knew about the tape the entire time? And I was going to say, well, no, I didn't say that. But
their notes indicate that you did.
Their notes. Mr. Clem, did you keep any notes? No. Mr. Clem, did your lawyer keep any notes? No. Mr. Clem, is there a recording of this? No. At that point, they're going to take the FBI. I mean, they're going to take they don't think that the FBI guys are bad guys and they'll lie. Right, Brian? I mean, they automatically, a jury is going to take, well, you're going to take a DJ that's changed his tune 2 times, or are you going to take 2 outstanding FBI agents? So, Anna, I get word that they're going to do that, and then they're going to charge me and so now I'm going to trick back. So no matter how I testify, if I go in there and say, if I stick with my deposition testimony, then they get me for lying to an FBI agent. If I stick with I didn't lie to an FBI agent because I never even really talked to him about it.
If you change your testimony to try and save yourself at that point.
Right. So if I change my testimony to try to save myself.
Even though you didn't say what they said you said.
Right.
Which I've dealt with that.
Right.
Yeah.
This is certainly something that hits home for you. There's not a lot of people that can understand my situation. You can.
8 hours with those boys.
You know how they pencil whip.
Yep.
Who's your Brock? $30 in the Venmo.
So if you lie to the FBI, then you're lying to the FBI. But then if you change your testimony,
Well, false statement to law enforcement officials is a criminal offense.
So it's a criminal offense
federally.
either way if you change your testimony.
Well,
No, if
the proof of him being false would be the testimony that he gave.
I would be in more trouble lying to the FBI than having not been honest on my deposition. They can only get you for contempt or something like that.
Well, it's perjury, but it's false statements to a law enforcement
to a federal
law enforcement official
is a worse.
Hold on,
crime.
is a Martha Stewart 8 months in jail?
Yeah.
No, for real.
Yeah, no, I got it.
So my lawyers,
Prison, not jail.
Yeah, I mean prison.
Yeah.
So if Anna, so if they got me on the stand, they're like, Mr. Clem, do you remember your deposition on March? Yes. Were you sworn at that point? Yes. Do you swear that everything you said was the truth? Yes. Well, is it true that you said 15 different times that Hogan did not know about being taped? Yes, that's what I said. Do you still stand by those? Yes, I do. Well, Mr. Clem, do you remember talking to FBI? Yes. They have written down in their report that you absolutely said Hogan knew about it. So, Mr. Clem, who's the liar, the FBI or you? And at that point, Anna, they get, and then if I stick with my deposition, I've lied to an FBI, I've lied to a federal agent, I'm going to prison.
Mm-hmm.
And if I stick with my FBI story, I've pretty much,
which was not your actual story,
which was not my story, which was not.
But they said your story
was.
But
if I stick with what the FBI said I said, which I didn't say,
right,
then Hogan's case is gutted. It's gutted.
Right.
And again, Brian, maybe not gutted to the point of losing, but it's not nearly as strong as it was.
Yeah,
so,
it hurts it, but the fact that he knew that maybe you were personally taping it is not the same as a theft of a tape and then a publication without consent or permission from the parties involved.
We can't even get into that now, can we? That's a no-pros.
Yeah.
That's a complete no-pros.
But that's why when I take that position, Bubba, it's not to say that you didn't do him a solid. It's just to say I can't say with certainty that the outcome of the case is
but you will agree.
Different.
But you will agree.
It wouldn't have been as big of a verdict. Most
you
likely.
would agree that I think we can at least agree on this very loose term. I did my boy a solid.
I don't even want to put it that way because you did what you had to do under the circumstances.
And so Anna, my attorneys, told the judge, Mr. Clem will not be. We'd prefer him not to even come in here and make it a dog and pony show. We would prefer it's going to be disruptive to the court, which my lawyers actually
does the judge or whoever have to accept that?
Yes. No. The judge can rule on it. The judge could
say no, he has to testify.
Yes. The judge was actually pretty cool because I'm going to tell you right now, and this is the way things work.
They knew how dirty the FBI
is. They knew they didn't like these out-of-town flip-it New York, Philadelphia lawyers.
Yeah, the attorneys involved in this case were the worst.
Brian can sit here and be I got to toe the corporate bar line, but here's the deal: things like that happen, and when you come down to Pinellas County, and you bring these slick Philadelphia, rude New York, not real. I mean, like they
don't play by the local rules. You got to know the local rules.
And they don't come across to the local people that well.
Right.
And so, Anna, the judge, my lawyers, put in the paperwork that everything the only information I'm giving is my name. Like they make you state your name and like maybe your address and your date of birth or something like that. Sometimes they do.
But this is a good lesson too for any lawyer out there or anybody hiring a lawyer is these guys fought over everything, and they made a big deal over everything going on in the case, and that wears a judge out.
Yes.
You only go after the stuff that really matters to your case. And in the trial,
had they not warned her out, she may have made me testify.
And in the trial I just did, we had a judge who was awesome, and he actually came up to me and my co-counsel after the trial and said what a great job we did and how great it was working with us, because we were literally just giving in to opposing counsel was really one of those uptight New York style lawyers. He's from Florida, but everything's a war. He's fighting a scorched earth policy with his case, and every little thing he wanted to fight over, everything he could try to object to, he objected to. And
he was like a little gnat.
Yes.
Rather than just to be, go in there like a bee and sting a couple times when you need to, he just was constantly.
Yep. He wasn't a bee, wasn't doing any real damage, and so we just after the first day, We just got
Could you figure out his tactic on the first day? You're like, I'm just going to slow play this.
Well, we figured out that the judge was getting annoyed. We read the room, and so my co-counsel and I, we just said, look,
you're good at that, by the way.
We're just gonna let him have these little victories. If it's a 50-50 coin flip and it really doesn't matter, we're gonna just say, you know what, Your Honor, that's fine. You know what? Okay, we were able to work it out with him on this. We did this, we did that, and in the end, the major rulings, the stuff that we needed, went for us,
right?
Because the judge knew who was being the reasonable person in the room.
And so, Anna, the judge, they had this little sidebar or this motion, and the motion was Mr. Clem is going to testify. His testimony to everything is going to assert his Fifth Amendment right. And do you really need him to come rolling in here with his big boy suit and all the media that brings and all the disruption? Or would you rather just have, read on record, Mr. Clem pleads the Fifth? It's far less, it's far less distracting. It's cleaner. It's easier. It's simple. And she allowed it.
Nice.
But their big, Anna was, well, first of all, Brian, even if I gone up there and pled the fifth, I wouldn't have given him anything, but they didn't know I was going to do that. They didn't, Nick Denton and Gawker didn't even consider that, right?
Well, yeah, I guess, but that still makes, they still want that. Like, they still want the jury to see that. So even once they found out that was what you were intending to do, Gawker still wants that.
They want the dog and pony show.
Right.
They want the uncomfortableness. They want me in my big boy suits saying I plead the Fifth because I'm scared to answer the question. They want that. But when it's just put on the record, it's far less effective, is it not? It's not. In fact, it's not even effective. If the judge just enters into the record that Mr. Clem, who was supposed to testify today, all of his answers are his Fifth Amendment right, and it goes on record, it's not nearly as effective optically for the jurors, is it not? At all.
Right.
The person who made this tape, who arranged the whole situation, paid $5,000 in settlement to Hulk Hogan and the promise to help Hulk Hogan in his case against Gawker.
And so that's misleading. It was not a promise to help. It was a promise to cooperate with what was asked.
And be truthful.
And so that's a misstatement by him. And
Brian knows the paperwork.
I may have
things in context.
drafted it all.
Right.
Denton says he believes Hogan's lawsuit was an attempt to suppress another recording, one of Hogan using racist language.
And then, hold on. I'm sorry, but I just have to. Even NBC 9, even ABC News, nobody gets into who sent these tapes to cause this much trouble.
Right.
Isn't that, whatever.
Directed towards his daughter's boyfriend at the time.
He had complained using pretty brutal language about the black man that his daughter was dating.
The consequences of that tape were devastating for Hogan. The WWE fired him after it leaked and wiped him from WWE history. Hogan hopes this verdict can help propel him back into the ring, telling TMZ...
Well, he's on Joe Rogan slinging mushrooms now, so I think he's doing okay.
Yeah.
He would jump at the chance.
I'd like to hit Vince McMahon right in the nose.
Hogan has not been reinstated by the WWE.
No, he has been since, so that was all that. Look at Rudy Giuliani. Look at Rudy G. Whatever the hell his name is. Rudy Giuliani's mugshot. Stand up, Rudy. You slump back.
He's like 85.
I know, but man,
Nosferatu.
We're gonna get into all this next. I'm sure you have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, really.
Yep, they got it all figured out.
Oh, no, I'm happy for him. I'm so happy for him that I would like to beat him with my happiness.
Bubba the Love Sponge returns after this.